Hello, and welcome to Red Clay This Month, the show that brings to light important educational issues and how they affect students in the Red Clay Consolidated School District here in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Dr. Judith Conway. I'm the Supervisor of Unified Arts here in Red Clay, and I'll be your host for this show. The focus of today's show is summer fun and how students can have summer fun without brain drain, without losing the acuity of their brains, by keeping their brains active by doing interesting and different things. And our first guest today, Pam Minacchio from the Grand Opera House here in Wilmington, who is also the director or the organizer of the Artists in the Parks?
Summer in the Parks.
Summer in the Parks program here in Wilmington to talk about what fun everyone can have.
Hi, thank you for having me, Judith.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you're here, Pam. So tell us about Summer
in the Parks.
In the Parks.
Yes, summer. A lot of
Thanks
people
for
are
helping me
calling
out
it
there.
Arts in the Parks, but yeah, we've called it Summer in the Parks. We started, we're entering our 4th season this summer. It is a program that is sponsored by the City of Wilmington and produced by the Grand Opera House, but it is really a truly collaborative program with the entire community of Wilmington. What we do is we're bringing arts programming, and it's all free programs, into Wilmington's city parks, into the neighborhoods.
Summer in the Park.
So Summer in the Parks. So we have a program that is 9 weeks long. So we start mid-June through mid-August, try to get as much of the summer covered as possible, and we pick 10 different residential parks in Wilmington's neighborhoods. And Monday through Friday, we'll send out different artists to each of those parks on a morning or noon schedule. And so every week we're in 10 different parks. We have 10 different programs going on, and we're offering music and dance and theater and even reading and arts and crafts and all different types of activities for the kids that live in those neighborhoods.
Oh, that's excellent. And you know, Wilmington isn't so big that, you know, I could go to the park closest to my house,
Exactly.
but I could walk another block or two and hit another park.
We have parks all over town, yes, and we do have a lot of people who try to come out and see us at multiple parks, you know, because we've got different ones that are nearby. So yeah, we've been some of the parks we regularly go to. We've got Haynes Park and Price's Run, which is right next to the pool and near Thomas Edison Charter School. We've got in Southbridge, we're at Barbara Hicks Park. Right in town, we have Holloway and Helen Chambers Park right next to the Hicks Anderson Community Center.
Oh, nice.
And then over on the west side, we're in Tilton and Judy Johnson and Kosciuszko. I might be leaving some out. Woodlawn Park we started last year, and it's just been a really, really fun experience to get to know all the different people in the city of Wilmington. We work very closely with civic associations and all the neighbors that live there.
Oh, so they like word of mouth?
Yeah, word of mouth and
advertising
flyers. They know how to reach their community, their residents. So we'd work with them to get the information out and share it with all the people that, you know, would benefit from this and like to come out and see. So there's a lot of collaboration with the civic associations, with different community groups, such as Hilltop Lutheran Neighborhood Center and Westside Grows. Those are some of the ones that are really active. The city has a Parks and Rec department. They send kids over that are involved in their summer camp programs. And you've got a lot of camp groups and daycares and just tons of kids coming out all the time just to see what's going on in the parks and to experience some new things.
Oh, and that's the best, isn't it?
It's
to give kids an opportunity to experience new things, to
exactly
look at things from a different point of view, or discover a talent
of discovery,
or an interest that they didn't know they had.
There's a lot of discovery going on in these parks throughout the whole summer. Like some of the arts and crafts programs, we have Delaware Art Museum and the Delaware Contemporary. Their teaching artists come out and do
the Delaware
nice and
Contemporary
crafts.
Art Museum, as well as
and the Delaware Art Museum. They
from...
both have teaching artists.
Oh, fabulous!
Yeah, and we have some individual artists like Eunice LaFate. She's one of the Wilmington's own art talents in town there, and she recently opened up her own gallery on Market Street, so she's one of the artists that comes out and teaches folk art and culture to the kids.
Oh, nice. And do they get to do some hands-on?
Absolutely. Every one of these programs has hands-on activities. So the kids are not just sitting and watching, they're getting involved. They're doing artwork, they are doing dance, they're doing dance workshops. We have a wonderful group that comes down from Philadelphia, a hip-hop dance troupe called Ill Style and Peace. And kids absolutely love them because they'll do their show, some hip-hop breakdancing, and they'll teach about the history of breakdancing and all that. But then they'll get the kids up and let them move on their own and do their own movements and creativity.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, some wonderful dance groups. Pieces of a Dream is a local dance company that we work with, First State Ballet and Wilmington Ballet. So there's classical stuff going on as well. Music School of Delaware and Christina Cultural Arts, some of Wilmington's steadfast organizations that are all getting
along
involved.
With the Grand, obviously.
Yeah. Some of our own teaching artists are involved. Let's see, who am I leaving out? Theater. We have theater groups with Delaware Shakespeare Festival and Wilmington Drama League. They're both getting out there and performing and teaching kids about acting and creativity, and it helps them to build their self-esteem and explore their own interests and
it lets them take a chance.
Them blossom.
Last month we did a whole show on the importance of the arts in education and exactly these kinds of skills that you're talking about, that the arts can teach kids, that that healthy risk.
Healthy risk is a great way to put that, and that's what we are all about, is providing a safe and creative outlet. It's giving kids an alternative to just walking and roaming around the streets and getting into trouble maybe, where here they can explore new things. We even had we do a lot of evening events as well, like at least once a week we'll do an evening event in the park.
Oh, nice. So that moms and dads
so the families can come out and enjoy these performances and activities. And I remember last year we had this painting party going on in Tilton Park, and somebody had told me that earlier on, just a couple of hours before the event started, there was a young boy, or a couple of young boys that were playing with sticks and maybe even matches, or trying to light something on fire on the sidewalk. And just a couple of hours later, those same kids were in Tilton Park painting. We're doing free expression, painting on canvas that we provided, the canvases and the easels and all of the supplies. And we had a DJ playing music, so it was kind of a dance party / paint party. And we had over 60 kids in the park at once, all painting and enjoying themselves. So it's giving them an alternative and letting them know that there are other things for them to do out there that don't involve getting into trouble, involves positive reinforcement and creativity. So
yes, and of course
that's our goal.
That's fabulous. And I know there are a lot of Red Clay students who take advantage of this and who benefit from this wonderful partnership between, this is like the ultimate epitome of partnerships between the City of Wilmington and the arts
all
organizations,
the different departments of the city,
and individual artists,
and individuals
too.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of wonderful individual artists, and Lewis Elementary is one of the schools that comes and participates because they'll have a summer program for students. So they'll bring the students out to the parks and introduce them to, like I said, dance and music, and get them involved and get them active during the day.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. And I'll tell you, it's research has shown, as I'm sure you know, that kids lose a little over the summer in terms of what is sometimes referred to as brain drain. And these kinds of activities certainly
keep them active,
stimulate the brain and keep the brain in shape. Because you don't use a muscle, it starts to disappear,
deteriorate. Absolutely,
exactly, and deteriorate. And so here, kids are going to get to use all
of these
all
fun
their
muscles to use,
exactly,
all of their
exactly.
creative
and
muscles,
have a
their arts
fabulous
muscles.
Time.
Yes,
And
they're having a lot of fun out there.
And as we were talking last month, there's a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot of analytical thinking that goes into creating a dance or
Right.
creating a painting, or singing a song, or
Yeah, the painting is really fun to watch. You know, I get to see their express certain emotions or things that are happening in their daily lives, and that comes right out on the canvas. And like you said, the singing songs, it just brings joy, and the smiles on their faces, and all the adults that are around really get to appreciate the difference that we're able to make in these lives, the kids' lives. So.
oh, and that's fabulous. And you say this is funded by?
It's funded by the City of Wilmington.
Fabulous for them.
So the administration is very involved. The Parks and Rec helps make sure that the parks are all ready for us, and public safety is involved, and Public Works are all involved. They're all great departments to work with, and they've been very supportive for the past
that's great. And so
3 or 4 years.
sometimes you don't often think of all those behind the scenes
Exactly.
people, if you will, that make sure that when an event is happening at the park,
that it's ready for us.
it's ready. Yeah, it's clean. It's
Yep,
welcoming.
the lawn gets mowed, and the trash is empty nearby. And
I didn't even think about the lawns getting mowed, but yeah.
yeah, they have a lot of work to do. That Parks and Rec department is really, really hardworking. But they've been supportive and really great team to work with.
Fabulous.
As are all of the civic associations, and it's been a really rewarding experience and partnership with all different parts of the city.
Yeah.
And the artists too. The artists, meeting some new artists out there. There's a lot of talent in Wilmington. And I think people it helps us to expose these artists to new audiences. And so where somebody might get to know an artist that they've never heard of before, here these are people that are right in their own town, and hopefully that they'll get to see where they might be performing or exhibiting, or how they can take advantage of these resources in the future. So where they will recognize names and feel more comfortable with going to the Delaware Art Museum or checking out what's happening at the Music School of Delaware, and they'll say, oh, I met somebody from there, and I feel comfortable doing that now. So it's kind of breaking down some barriers too.
Exactly. In addition to, like people like myself and other teachers in the district saying, I'd like to bring kind of something special to the school.
Yeah.
Maybe as a reward for positive behavior, or in conjunction with some theme,
Right.
some
Right,
character
some
development
curriculum.
theme,
We can
or some
tie
curriculum
academics
theme.
with arts, and the arts are really, really helpful in tying into academics and helping students to learn something new that they, maybe they're not quite getting in the classroom, but you expose them in a different way through a theater production, or through storytelling, or through music, and they kind of click and start to understand something new that way. So
Right.
The arts are a great way.
And to appreciate that they learn in multiple ways. And sometimes the first time you hear something, not so much. You don't get
Right.
it so much, but
Yeah, you keep doing it and try different things
in different
whether it's
ways.
hands-on or visually or orally. Yeah, there are different ways that everybody learns. So it's nice to give them those options.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, Pam, thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
And,
It's my pleasure to be here.
Can you give us the website?
Absolutely. So Summer in the Parks starts up this year on June 20th. And the schedule will be posted on the Grand site, which is thegrandwilmington.org/parks. So it's the Grand site/parks, and we hope to see a lot of new people, new faces out there. We've served, I think over the past 3 years, 11,000 people, residents in Wilmington so far. So we're looking forward to making that
Wow.
even greater
Wow.
this year.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And I hope you come back as we talk to other folks from Red Clay about other things that are going on in the summer, so that you can help your kids avoid the dreaded brain drain.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. It's got nothing to do with fairness. Bam. Your whole world changes in an instant. And you never see it coming. That's what happened to me. the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to learn the signs of a stroke fast. F-A-S-T.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke, F-A-S-T, fast.
Welcome back to Red Clay This Month, where we're talking about how to have some summer fun and keep your brain in shape. Our next guest is Eddie McGrath, a very good friend of mine. He is the supervisor of science for the Red Clay Consolidated School District. And Eddie, tell me about what you've got planned for kids in the summertime.
Oh, well, as we seem to always have planned for summer, we are going to be having our 6th annual, and I love the fact that I can now say annual, our 6th annual STEM Summer Scholars Program. In the past 5 years, we have opened this to all middle school families in Red Clay. Students in other districts are also welcome to apply. It is a 3-week program in the mornings from July 5th this year until July 22nd. And what happens is that students who are chosen to be in the program participate in one of two STEM-related programs. They are brought in to this year Conrad Schools of Science, and they are charged with a 7-day project from beginning to end: design, build, test, refine, and present some kind of a project. We go through a process where they apply. They are chosen. Those students who aren't chosen because of space constraints are put on a wait list, and they are choosing one of 2 different projects. This year we're very excited because we are going to expand our program to also include 4th and 5th grade students in the district.
Oh, that's fabulous.
They will only be there for 7 days because 14 days is an awful lot for the new students, for the younger students, and besides it's a new program and we kind of want to try it out.
Oh, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah,
A whole lot of sense.
Just like the name implies, our program itself is sort of an exercise in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Every year before it begins, I never quite know how it'll look. And I always have at least one project that I'm biting my lip thinking, ooh, is this going to be a good one or not? And so far, whenever I've done that.
You reuse some and then you add new ones every year too.
Exactly.
So tell me, like, what would be a great example of a project?
Okay, well, middle school will have 9 of them to choose from. We always have one form of Lego Mindstorm robotics where the students build a robot and then program it to do a variety of different tasks. Sometimes we kind of put a spin on it where they might be doing gladiatorial games, not to destroy them, of course, but various Olympic events. Sometimes it's to actually solve a problem. One year we were exploring an alien landscape. We may be trying that again. We last year introduced computer programming with Scratch. I decided we ought to call the class Scratching the Surface.
Oh, how fun.
One of our standby programs has been building vehicles, and that's all we ever say is vehicles, because they may have to go on the land, or they may have to fly, or they may have to go on the water. My goodness, what else have we done? We do some rocketry in the program. We have one activity where students, this we introduced last year, it's called Green Habitats. The students have to design a house to exist off the grid. And that's actually a pretty big challenge because they have to answer the questions of how are we going to produce heat? How are we going to eliminate waste? How is this person in this house going to get food? And last year was the first year we ever did it. We had students creating little farms. We had students creating little water treatment plants. And speaking of water treatment, we do one rotation where they go out to a local waterway, one of the local parks, analyze the water there with Delaware Nature Society. They usually come and assist with that. And then we give them a sample of polluted water. We pollute it ourselves with things like coffee grounds and olive oil, and sometimes we throw in something to make it stink, something like garlic powder. But the whole idea is the students have to design a filtration system so that what comes through the filter has exactly the same characteristics as what is out in the creek that they analyzed.
Oh.
And they only have 7 days to do all of this. And then the next 7 days they do a different one. And with the
So 7 days, they start on a Monday, so that first session is over like on the Tuesday of the next
the
week.
following, actually this year it will be on a Tuesday, but yes, exactly. That's
and then
the
they
idea.
start on Wednesday
Right.
with the next project if they want to do both.
If they want to do both. And the middle school students, conversely, they could also start with the second project if they're going to be away for the first time. Because people take vacations, people, especially if they're 8th graders, they may have some things that they have to be doing for high school next year. So they can't be there the entire 3 weeks. Okay, so you take the first one. And that way, we also can enroll more students.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
Now, elementary will
So
run a
now
little.
let me just back up a minute. So what about, like, I'm hearing a lot of stuff. Like, if they're going to design a filtration system, they have to have stuff to do that.
Oh yes, materials.
Materials are all provided.
In some cases, yes, there are some basic ones that are provided, but as the students decide what they want to produce, some of these we can get on at the moment. Sometimes they may want to bring some things in, and of course the teachers have to approve those. But there's a little bit of a combination of both, because the whole idea is we want to give the students the freedom and the responsibility of choosing the materials they're using.
So this is really working their brains.
It's working their brains in a way that we don't usually get to see during the school year, because we don't have testing to worry about. We don't have a lot of the obligations during the regular school year. So they really just have the time to work on a problem, and they have a little bit more wiggle room, because middle school students like to move around. Well, this is not a program for somebody who's content with sitting at a desk all day. This is designed to be moving around, designed to be talking to their friends. It is all collaborative. Everything is done in pairs, at least, sometimes maybe groups of 3. But the whole idea is this is collaborative. The main thing we really emphasize is safety at all times. So we
That
make
makes
sure
sense.
we make sure that is the first class, is how to keep safe as possible. I don't like to say safe. I like to say safer. And to that end, our class sizes are limited at 20 students, and most of the classes have 2 teachers. So there is a lot of very close supervision of students. In some cases, 1-to-1 supervision. It also enables the teachers to get communications to other classrooms or to me, and I will be on site during the whole time.
And so, too, it gives kids more of a chance for feedback.
Exactly.
And since there's a smaller group, that they could present to each other and get feedback,
Yes.
or the teacher could give feedback, then the other teacher could give feedback.
Exactly, exactly. The last day of the program, we invite the families in to come see the projects, and of course that's the time for the students to shine, because they get to talk about what they've been working on for the last few days. And the very neat thing, though, is the families see their own child's project, and then they're right there with 8 other projects, and they can see other things that might have gone on. Maybe a child did something in the first session, they're presenting in the session, but then they could go and show their parents, and this is what we did for the first 7 days. So.
Nice, nice, very nice. So kids are really active in body as well as in mind.
Absolutely, and that's the way to do it. STEM is a very integrated approach. When we first came up with this idea, I was picturing, okay, so what, an hour and a half of math and an hour and a half of science, and it's like, no, it doesn't work that way at all. It's all connected. It seems like every time people talk about STEM or this program, they end up doing this.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Because it is all connected. So we see that a lot.
And the best things are, right, Pam? Pam was just talking
Absolutely.
about summer in the parks and what a collaborative effort that is. And that's always a challenge. to give kids experiences in being collaborative and having to work collaboratively so they get practice, so they can get better at it.
And I'm glad Pam went to talk about the summer in the arts, because one of our classes will be the students make musical instruments
Oh, that's wonderful.
and presumably play them as well. But one of the things is that I've gone on this journey of STEM is throwing that A in the middle of it and
Absolutely.
making it STEAM.
Right, that's what I'm all about,
I love that
STEAM.
too.
I mean, the science is important, the mathematics is important, but the arts is where we
You
get
get some
to
artistic
appreciate it all.
expression in there, and you need all of the STEM support to make the arts
Absolutely.
work. So
Absolutely.
they're all connected. Absolutely.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. I can't think of any art that doesn't have a basis in something else. Chemistry for paint, physics for sound,
Right.
light,
And I can't,
makeup for actors. I
And
mean,
I really
it's all
can't think of a part-
chemistry, and it's all science.
and vice versa. I think in science, every aspect of science does have an artistic piece with it. Just to give you an example, the tie I'm wearing is the DNA molecule, and yet there is a great symmetry that associated with that is
Right, that is
very-
the beauty.
And it's the basis
Visual.
of life. That symmetry is the basis of life. But we want our students to make these connections. And I really think this ability to move around, to talk about different aspects of it, and to just make it very unclear, am I talking science, math, technology, art, or engineering right now? The answer is yes, I am.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that 4th and 5th graders were going to be
Correct.
added.
Yes.
Do you have any specific project or problem-based
Yes.
experiences for them?
It will be a very similar process. It'll be 7 classes rather than 9. We have to scale some things down just because, again, some of the experiences might be more hazardous and not appropriate for the age group. So we have kind of a junior version of it. The other thing that will be different is, being 7 days, they will still have 2 classes, but each class will be an hour and a half. So they spend 90 minutes in one and then transition to another. So they will also have 2 projects that they're working on, but again, everything will just be shorter time, simpler time. We will still be using the 20 student per class and the 2 teacher model for the elementary.
Now, is busing available?
We are going to have transportation for both programs, yes. As parents have expressed their interest in applying, we have asked them, will you need bus transportation? Where would you like to have your child picked up? Where would you like to have your child dropped off? So we will have that availability as well.
And what's the time frame? Like, is it just mornings or?
Yes, only mornings. The elementary will start about an hour later than the middle school. And as I said, they will actually be in the second 7 days. So it's a little odd because they will actually be starting on a Thursday.
Oh, okay.
It's just the way the timing worked. But because that was a new dimension to this program, I felt it would be most sensible to have the middle school program begin first, and then they come in at the tail end of that. That way it's up and running. We're not trying to reinvent too many things all at once. That can get a little out of hand even in STEM.
So, right. So it's like the middle school is about 7:30 to 11:30ish?
Correct. And then 8:30 to 11:30ish for elementary. Pretty much when the buses get there, but we've asked around 11:30. So right in time for
Just
lunch.
so people can, sort of wrap their heads around it and say, oh, this is what this program is all about.
Exactly.
And when do people apply? Because it's getting ready to start.
Well,
now.
yes, it is. We sent out letters of interest in March. Parents were bringing the applications to the child's school, elementary or middle, pretty much through the latter half of March till about a week after spring break ended. And then we invited families about the middle of April. We sent out letters of invitation. There is a slight fee, I didn't mention that before, $30 per program. So for middle school, if they're doing 2 programs, it would be $60 per child. For elementary, it's just a flat $30. As well as, yes, I am definitely coming, and it is at that time that we tell them which classes their child was able to was enrolled in. So pretty much throughout April and May and June, I am recreating classes, inviting people, not inviting people. I'm a very, very, very busy man.
Yes. I know.
July, when we actually begin the program, is almost when I'm actually able to relax because I've got some very, very willing and very busy people who also help me manage it. I spend most of my time rounding up supplies during the actual program.
So for next year, school year 2017, people ought to look for that mailing in March.
Around March, yeah.
If they want to get their child involved.
Yes. They can always contact the Office of Curriculum and Instruction for information about it throughout the year. But yes, pretty much this is my spring and summer life.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us. And it sounds, I know, because I've been there to observe and seen it. What a fabulous program it is, and it really has the arts component. It's really, you're really going to have to change the name to STEAM and not STEM. The one of the projects that impressed me so much, among many, was roller coasters. It was a year that the kids were building roller coasters, and they made this whole theme park.
Yes, they did.
So they had a theme for the theme park, and some of them were like jungle and camo
We
themes.
had a haunted house.
Right. Some of them were haunted housey type themes. Some of them were Caribbean beach themes for the roller coaster and the theme park around it. So it involves the arts big time.
One last thing before we finish this, I do want to tell you we do have a theme for the entire program now. We've always called it S-Cubed, STEM Summer Scholars. But one of the things that we've decided for both programs is our theme is going to be making the world a better place. So all of the projects will in some way or another focus on the students realizing I need to make this world a better place for my children, for my grandchildren, and for me. So the idea is we want them to be thinking toward the future, even at the younger ages.
Well, that's just beautiful. That's really wonderful. Well, I think it's time to take a pause here, and I hope as you go, get yourself a glass of iced tea or lemonade or a nice glass of seltzer water, that you come on back and talk to our third guest with us.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Hi, and welcome back to Red Clay This Month. I want to introduce you to Miss Jennifer Delgado. Hello. She is the librarian at H.B. DuPont Middle School here in Red Clay. And even though she's in a middle school, what we're going to talk about is a program that we've used for, I think this is our third year for summer reading. And it's called MyOn, and it's an online program that provides books via whatever device you have to kids. And we've used it really pretty successfully in the past. Jen used it at the summer enrichment program with the Baltz Elementary kids last year, and I want to give you some big statistics, and that is 20,327 books were read online through the MyOn service by Red Clay K to 5 students last year, and that's pretty impressive, I think. As we're talking about having fun, and I think a really fun thing to do is read, and we're talking about exercising your brain, and we're talking about no brain drain, MyOn really fits the bill, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's got tons of fun topics. There's really something in there for everyone and at every level.
As I was talking to the representative, it's they're up to 5,700 books.
Yes, I noticed they have a lot more than they did when we started.
Yeah, when we started 3 years ago, they keep adding and adding. And so, how does a child use MyOn?
Well, they can use it a lot of different ways. During the summer enrichment program, we did a little bit of what you've been talking about with the other guests, where the kids really interacted with the literature through creating things and using technology to create those things. So in the summer enrichment program, we read about what they were going to do in the first unit of the grade they were going into, and really gave them a lot of background knowledge, sort of a summer fill instead of drain. So they're coming out ahead instead of sliding backwards like a lot of kids do. And then at home, kids can just use it for fun, which is really important. Kids need a chance to read whatever they want rather than what their teachers sort of push them toward.
And so a kid logs on with a username and password.
Yes.
So they've got to have the URL to go to.
Yes.
And we'll put that on the bottom of the screen for you, what that URL is. And I know in Red Clay, all our families who have current kindergartners to 5th graders will get a letter saying, what the URL is, explaining a little bit about the program, and then giving the child's username and password.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I kind of like about it, that each child has to log in so they have their own account. So they can see what books they've read, they can sort of put books on hold that they're interested in, and then they can just go down. It looks like a little bookshelf with the fronts of the books all nice and visual, as we were talking about with Eddie, that the visual aspect of things is really important.
It does. It has a really colorful, fun interface, and when they want to read a book later, they can just tap a little heart button, and that's when it goes to their shelf that they can look at when they get around to it.
Oh, so that's pretty intuitive as well.
Yeah.
As well. Now, I know the librarians in the elementary school are going to work with the children in, they have worked with the children in May to make sure that every child has logged in, has done the little test, like it starts you out with a little interest survey and a little something to read, so that the system knows what kinds of books to recommend for you, but you can read anything you want.
Absolutely.
So even though I'm a 5th grader, I want to look at a picture book, I can do that. That's not...
Yes.
And no one knows what I'm reading. We know it's all appropriate because there's nothing inappropriate in there, but in terms of, a child might not want to walk around with a picture book, but they might really want to read that picture book because they have a real appreciation for the pictures. I know I have to tell you, I have a collection of picture books just because the art can be so beautiful in there.
Yeah.
So what kinds of things did you do with the kids in terms of, you talked about creating with them?
Yes, well...
give our parents some ideas of what they can do with kids as a follow-up to reading.
Well, if you're reading these online books, you've got some kind of device. And we were using mobile devices. We had iPad minis, one for each kid pretty much in each class. And they made little presentations. They could record their voice, they could draw pictures on the screen, and then it would all go together like a little movie that they would share with each other. Some of them were research-based,
And so you had an app to do that,
Oh,
right,
yeah,
to make that presentation.
Yeah, we used a few different apps. 30 Hands was one we used a lot,
I
with
like
the
that
younger
one.
kids especially, because it does let them do the drawings and talk during their presentation to tell us what's going on.
And it makes a little movie, which is kind of
Yeah,
nice, you
yeah.
know. Everybody can do a shout out and post the little movie on Facebook or
Yes.
whatever.
And we could show them on the whiteboard for the whole class, or some of them just wanted to share it with their neighbors. But yeah, they really enjoyed making the projects, and I think making the projects really enhanced their thinking about whatever literature or nonfiction we were reading.
And I think that's really important too. I think you make a great point there that it's good for kids. They're certainly activating and using their brains when they're reading, but when they're even just telling somebody
Right.
about the book, then they're activating their brains again, and they're going through, especially for the emergent readers, they're going through sequence. Well, what happened first? What happened second? What happened third? They're going through, for the older kids, summarization. That's a really important, well, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. That's a really important skill.
It is,
and
yeah.
really helps when you're going to write something or to research something where you need to summarize what has been said. It's
Right, yeah.
it's really important, and it really helps with reading comprehension.
Yeah, one of the other fun things that we did, because, important to me as a librarian, when you're using all these apps, you have to think about copyright, and kids immediately just want to take stuff out of the books and put it in their presentations. So it was a nice segue to that as well, to intellectual property and how we don't just take things off the internet or out of Myon even, and put them into our own presentations. So they learned a lot of different things about technology and creating, and also about reading. All of these books also read out loud to the kids if they want to turn that on.
Oh, the little sound on. Right.
And I found that was really helpful, especially for our English language learners, because now they're seeing the word, they're hearing the word, and they've got pictures going along with it. So they're kind of getting a bunch of different angles as they're learning the language.
So for any child that's having trouble reading, that would be a help.
Absolutely, yeah. So struggling readers or people who are new to the language. And that's one thing that I actually found parents really like too. We have a lot of Spanish-speaking parents. And so we have bilingual books in there too, where they can even, the parent reads one page and the, in Spanish, and the child can then read it in English, or vice versa, and they're both improving English skills.
Absolutely. I read somewhere, or somebody told me, that one of the best ways to help a struggling reader is to let them watch TV with the closed caption on, for that very reason. And so this goes right along in line with that, in terms of kids using their brains and putting it all together with the whole creation of technology. Now, I know that from talking to the sales rep, that Myon will work on a computer, pretty much any computer that will connect to the internet, pretty much any tablet, and phones as well. So there are lots of ways for kids to, for parents to entertain kids in a way that gets their brains in shape, or keeps their brains in shape.
Those long car rides and...
Right, kids can be reading books, or having books read to them.
Absolutely.
Which, even if you're not a struggling reader, who doesn't like it when somebody reads them a book, you know? I mean, it's all great. And I've seen, one of the things I liked about Myon was because, well, two things. One is the variety of fiction and nonfiction that they have, and especially nonfiction. There's nothing I could think of that I might be interested in, as a kid. I mean, maybe brain surgery isn't there, but pretty much everything else, there's a book about that kids could read, and they have a lot of nice fiction as well. So I like that balance of fiction and nonfiction, and I like that it can read to you as well, so that you can just have fun with it. Oh, I remember. I was pausing. If you didn't notice, I was filling in because my brain was somewhere else. That every now and then it'll ask you some questions, or it'll ask you to read something, and what it's doing is it's recalculating your reading level. So as you get better, it's going to suggest more appropriate books in terms of what your reading level is.
Right.
Whereas if I'm a third grader, it's not going to suggest fifth grade books unless I've shown that I can read those fifth grade books. But that's just what it suggests. Anybody can read anything.
It has little sliders, so if you don't want to go, if you don't want to be limited to the range that you are at, you can open the slider up so that you can see things that are above your level, below your level, wherever you want to be.
Yeah, and I noticed that it has interest things too, like there's a little interest button you can click, and so whereas before I said, no, I don't want to read anything that's kind of gross or scary, but now maybe I've changed my mind. I can turn that off or on.
I have never met a kid who didn't want to read the gross and scary books.
Well, I used to not like stuff like that, but then I had kids and dogs, and so now I'm pretty much immune to just about everything as far as gross stuff is concerned. So I even kind of find it kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But that's what summer's all about, really, right? Exploring your interests and keeping your brain going so that you've really relaxed and recreated yourself with recreation.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Pam Minacchio and Jen Delgado and Eddie McGrath, who had to go do something else while we were here. And thank you for tuning in to find out what's happening in the summer to help your kids not be exposed to brain drain, but to keep your kids active mentally as well as physically. And we're going to leave you now with some clips from the summer in the parks that happened in years past. So thank you for joining us, and hope to see you next time.
With some numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and a 3 and a 3, 4.